Welcome back, runners. This is a mental dump of everything I learned during the server slam to prepare you for the full release of Marathon. There is no particular order here. It is just whatever order the gigabytes of video footage I had was in. So we can range from easy topics like how to start a solo queue, which, by the way, multiple people commented on my last video that they didn't even realize solo queue was a thing now and you could actually just verse other solo players. So from easy topics like that to more obscure topics like trace status to even like mini guides like how to complete the lockdown event. I tried to get the most appropriate footage, but I am making this video between the server slam finishing and the release of Marathon, so I can't go back and record anything. Of course, in the full release of Marathon, some of the things may have changed, but I think overall this will be a pretty relevant guide for you. Enjoy. A like and a comment would be greatly appreciated. It took a lot of time. You can see it's now dark. You're going to watch my camera in the footage below change from nighttime to daytime as I've been doing this all day. Watch live here on YouTube or on Twitch and join the Discord to meet other runners. All right. A weapon's rarity is determined by the rarity of the weapon mods. For example, 2 green mods and a purple mod on this SMG is making the gun a blue rarity. Removing the mods drops and removes the rarity from the gun itself. There are lots of important things to take away from this. A single purple mod does not make it a purple rarity weapon. So when you are looting, always scan the weapon mod UI to check for any sneaky mods on there. Find base weapons that you like and extract with them. I think when I was first playing this, I was like, oh, that weapon's no good because it's just, you know, a common color. It's just gray. Well, that's incorrect. I need to look for weapons I actually like because when I get them back to my vault, I'm just going to chuck the mods on them and the rarity is going to increase. For weapons you don't like, strip the mods off them and take them back to base. This is a bit clunky. You have to equip the weapon, like you got to have it in your hands and then hold down whatever keybind you have for removing the mod. You'll see it in the little menu there. And then you can dump the base weapon. If you loot a player in the game and their weapon just evaporates into credits, this is why. Trace status. Each time this item is looted from a hostile runner, its trace status is reduced by 1. If an item's trace status would reach 0 when looted, it is not looted, but converted to credits instead. Once you've unlocked your free daily items from the factions, like shield charges and patch kits, make sure you actually claim them from the armory. I don't know if the armory refresh timer is the same as the daily reset, or if it refreshes multiple times a day. Regardless, don't leave free items unclaimed each day. During a match, there are events that can happen, some of which will be specific to certain maps. These events will most likely give you a significant gear increase early game while your factions are still low in level. Dire Marsh had an event called Lockdown. When it spawns, you get a notification on the screen, and it can also be seen on the map. I've heard people say that you need to clear enemies to force the spawn, but from my testing and playing the game, it seemed to randomly occur between 15 and 20 minutes remaining on the clock. I think this is to reward players who are still in the raid. For this event, you need the green sachet consumable antivirus, otherwise you'll just take damage as soon as you enter the red force field. The antivirus buff can be seen above your health bar. You go to the center blue beam, find a keycard nearby, it's usually just around the outside, and insert it to begin the event. Now, if you have plenty of antivirus, you can complete the event with the shield up. This will actually stop other teams from third-partying you because they can't get to you unless they also came equipped with antivirus. If you are short on antivirus, there will be a corrupted drive highlighted in the area nearby. Collecting this and placing it in the terminal near the blue beam will actually drop the lockdown shield, allowing you to clear the waves of enemies without having to use your antivirus. But of course, other players can now enter the area and start attacking you. To increase your rewards, you have to complete lockdown 3 times in a row. Once you've completed it once, it will spawn somewhere else on the map. I think this is also why it spawns late in the game, because I always failed it because I didn't have enough time. So you have to just clear the enemies as quick as you can. Another tip related to lockdown. Don't do what I did here. If you're in the zone when the event starts, it will absolutely wreck you. So make sure you start outside of the zone. Make sure you have a triage on your team, which was me in this case. Make sure that each of your teammates has a med bot indicated by the little icon next to the teammate's name, because med bots will share consumables. So give all your antivirus to triage. Everyone has a med bot. When you, the triage, pop the consumable, then everyone will get the buff. This is gonna be the most efficient way to use your antivirus. Running with your knife out is faster than with a weapon. I read after the server slam that the weight of the weapon impacts your mobility, meaning different guns will impact your run speed differently, but I haven't been able to test again because the server slam is over. I do know that other stats will impact you, like certain shields have stats on them that will impact your agility, meaning it will impact your run speed. In addition, bunny hopping with your knife out should be the quickest way to move, but I did stuff up this test a little bit. I needed to really test bunny hopping versus bunny hopping with a knife out versus just normally running with a knife. Also, my heat on this test for the knife side wasn't fully reset, and I didn't notice it until I fully zoomed in. But you can see the speed difference here between running with the weapon and bunny hopping with your knife. The heat difference was actually the most surprising to me, because I heard a lot of players say that the heat difference will be saved because you're bunny hopping, because you don't actually generate heat when you jump, which is true. Like when you melee, it actually consumes heat, or like generates heat, but you don't have any heat generation specifically for the action of jumping. However, the heat bar is still going up when you're in the air, which in my mind does make sense. Otherwise, you know, you're hardly touching the ground, so your heat shouldn't go up almost at all. More testing needed. You can track items by hovering over them and pressing the corresponding keybind. They will then be listed in the escape menu. And when you see them in game, whether that's in your vault or in the actual game, they'll have a green eye in the top corner. However, I don't know how to track barter items. For example, to make this shield charge, I need unstable biomass. However, if I hit track button, it just tracks the shield charge, not the biomass, and the biomass is obviously what I'm interested in, so I can craft the shield charges. At this point, you need to find the biomass first and individually track it that way. You either find it in your faction tree or you find it out in the world and then hit track. The encrypted sponsor kits are really good. You have to buy them, and there is a limit on how many you can buy per refresh. However, they are really good value for money. You're guaranteed to get 3 shield charges and 3 patch kits of a green rarity, and then 1 of each of the blue rarity. You're going to get 3 implants and 2 cores. The cores are for your specific runner. So this is a guaranteed way to get cores for your runner. In addition, it's like a mystery box. The value of the loadout is always the same. During the test, it was 1.8 thousand, but you can get varied equipment. For example, this time I actually got a blue tier primary and a common secondary. Another time I only got 1 weapon, but I got a blue backpack, which is huge. Honestly, every time I have cash, I will be buying these, just hopefully to build up how many runner cores I have specific to the runner that I actually like using. On the topic of sponsor kits, free sponsor kits will give you reputation for that faction. In addition, there is a challenge in the codex to survive a run with a free sponsored kit. This will unlock a cosmetic reward for that runner that you just used. Sorry, I don't have any footage of that specific reward, but here's what the codex looks like. So make sure you redeem it. If you like the base weapon of some of the free sponsored kits, make sure you collect multiple and you can store them in your vault. The cheaper enhanced sponsor kits do not give you implants or cores, but will still give you reputation for that faction. And the encrypted sponsor kits actually give you reputation for all of the factions. Some weapons or items will have a perk called compromised, which means the item will be destroyed on exfil unless you have a matter fixative in your backpack. Matter fixative looks a bit like a keycard, and I've seen them drop from higher tier UESC. Rook is a runner shell that you unlock early on. However, there are some important things to note. As a Rook, you can only enter matches solo, but you will be matched with other teams, not solo players. Well, unless they're also Rooks. You will also spawn into the match late. And finally, Rook has a set loadout. However, his loadout can be upgraded through capstones. You get these from unlocking a certain amount of nodes in a faction. Just make sure you actually click on the capstone and purchase it. Some weapons will have the materialist perk on them. It reads, upon exfil, grants additional standard and enhanced salvage. What this means is, if you have this weapon in a run with this perk and you extract with standard or enhanced, which is grey or green, salvage in your backpack, you automatically get given an additional piece of salvage. For example, if you pick up 2 pieces of unstable gunmetal in a run, which is standard salvage, the perk will give you 1 extra, so it will deposit 3 into your vault. And this occurs for every different piece of salvage in your backpack upon exfil. So if you had gunmetal and a spark leaf, you'd get 1 additional gunmetal and 1 additional spark leaf. If you have 2 guns with the perk, both having the materialist perk on them, you actually get 2 additional pieces of salvage for each stack. The endgame summary screen is not very clear. It doesn't even really show you that this is happening and if this perk is even working, but we counted every bit of salvage we had in our vault. We went out and we got bits and pieces and we confirmed that it is working, and for this perk you get 1 additional piece per salvage stack. These 2 green shields are exactly the same, right? Wrong. One is called a reinforced green shield and actually only has 1 shield slot rather than 2. However, it takes half damage. I think this means that the reinforced shield is easier to recharge because technically it's only 1 bar. However, it provides the same amount of damage resistance. Point is, check items thoroughly. You're going to have to read because they can basically look identical but function differently. Claymores are incredibly powerful early game. You can unlock them for purchase from Mida, both in teams and solos. If someone breaks your shield, they will often aggressively push. I've won multiple fights with Claymores defensively. Mercy, me lord! Some weapons will have a secondary function like this rifle that has a built-in scope. It will tell you the keybind and the function it has if you hover over it in your inventory. Other times, mods themselves will add a secondary function to the weapon. This gold attachment converts the shotgun to slug rounds. Your primary way of leveling factions will be contracts. However, other actions in the game also reward you with faction reputation. Go into the agent section of the faction and it will list the other things that you can do. For example, Cyber Acme gives reputation for activating TADs. In the game, when you activate a TAD, you'll see the reputation pop up like this. Talking about TADs, TADs ping surrounding enemy AI and players. The ping radius can also be increased in the faction upgrades. Certain items are event specific. For example, all these cards are related to the lockdown event on Dire Marsh. They have 0 value once you exfil and are removed. There are other similar event items like the key cards from the Outpost map. Once you've completed an event or you give up on that event, get rid of those items to make more inventory room before extracting. If you're low on inventory space, rather than leave consumables behind, just use them straight out of the container. Especially if you're about to leave an area, a cardio kick boost is great for rotating to a new area to get new loot. Your knife has 2 attacks. Light attack is left click on the mouse and heavy attack is right click. I assume heavy attack does more damage, but the other important thing is that some implants can apply debuffs with a heavy knife attack. For example, this one applies toxic. Schemas are like blueprints you can discover in your runs. It would just say schema in the title. Successfully exfilling with one of these will give you the option to purchase that weapon or item at your armory. However, there will be a limited amount of stock. Always remember to check in with the codex. Completing the challenges in the codex will give you loadout packages, cosmetics, and there is a lot of lore, some of which will even be voice actors so you can just listen to it if you exfil with a specific item. The faction upgrade trees are hugely important and some of the nodes are permanent passive upgrades.